thanks for listening to another episode of the Power9 podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Eggert. Today's guest is a consummate storyteller. From powersports to woodworking, he uses his communication skills to share the passion and purpose behind any industry. I am thrilled to share the journey of my friend, Glenn Hansen. Glenn!
Thank you, Aaron. This is fun.
I know, right? And another episode, we're broadcasting live from the Maple House in Excelsior, and you walked in and fell in love with this place. I love this place.
You know, I grew up on this side of town. I used to spend a lot of time on the lake here.
Yeah.
A lot of boating, from sailboats to water skiing to whatever. And this place, man, it almost takes you home.
Right.
I love all the wood and the colors and the flags.
Yeah.
The maps.
Right. It's so cool. And I knew you,
Yeah.
like I said, like you walking
Yeah.
up here, I even was watching you like admire the exterior, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's everything that you're about.
Yeah, it's
and
really nice.
it
Classic and
feels kind of like
it's old like me.
Right. Let's get into that a little bit. So, you know, since I met you via Zoom, you know, back in the COVID days, that's how we kind of got hooked up together. You know, I just think you're a cool guy, and you've always been a person I've wanted to have on the podcast because I think you've got a really cool story, and you know, your wife has a business, and you know, and you've done so many interesting things. So, welcome back to the West Side from Stillwater,
Thank you.
and so this is where were you born and raised on the West Side of the Twin Cities?
No, my father was in sales when I was young. I was born at Methodist Hospital in St. Louis Park,
Yeah.
but we moved around a bit from New Hope to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, you know, and then ended in Plymouth and Wayzata, and that's where I guess grew up.
Yeah.
High school, you know, junior high school, all that, until college. So yeah, this West Side still feels like home in a way. Yeah.
Yeah. So what'd your dad sell?
He was milk. He was the VP for eventually small company, but it became part of Land O'Lakes.
Land O'Lakes side?
He did milk and dairy sales forever. Yeah, he was the consummate salesman. He was a perfect salesman.
What was it about? Why did he get into? Do you remember like why he got into that commodities side?
He grew up on a dairy farm. My parents both grew up on dairy farms in north central Wisconsin. But he knew early that he did not want to be a farmer. But he went to college, was in the Navy, finished college at UW-Madison, and got into sales for, I think, Kemp's, I think, originally or something. But he was a relationship guy, and I think that's where I've come to, and I think we'll get there in this conversation. But his sales clients, his customers, were grocery store owners primarily, who, to a person, became his best friends, his lifelong friends.
Yeah.
And that just said a lot about who he was, and his honesty and his integrity and his commitment to the business and the personal side of it.
And I think times were different then, where you could sell directly to the grocery stores and all that other stuff, and you could build those relationships. Where now, you know, it's all through distributors, and you know, dollars drive everything for where people place things and all that stuff. So, do you? Well, let's dig into that. So I was talking about nature versus nurture, right?
Yeah,
and so.
Yeah.
You know, I think everybody has got a component of both, right? Specifically on the nurture side, do you feel like some of those relationship-driven, activities that your dad did in sales have trickled down to you, and that's what has allowed you to continue to build strong relationships, being now your own business owner, or has that been something that you've had to work at?
Something I've had to work at.
Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I anticipate this question, and I think about it. It's certainly been in my head for a long time, but the question is interesting, and I go back to, I have an older sister and then an older brother, and I'm the youngest of three, and we're all pretty different.
Are you?
Pretty different is a major understatement.
Really? In what respect?
We're just different people. We're all different people.
Yeah. My brother and I are very different.
Yeah.
Like my brother he's a writer. He's a movie critic. He works in marketing on doing demand generation and stuff like that. So he kind of does all of those things.
Right.
And that's all stuff that I just
Yeah.
don't identify with.
Yeah.
Do you and your siblings have a good relationship?
My brother and I are very close.
Yeah.
My sister and I are different. We look at the world in different ways.
Yeah.
And
Right.
Yeah.
That's family, right?
Yeah.
That's no different than any other family.
Yeah.
And
My wife is one of 11. She's
What?
the 8th of 11 kids, and it's fascinating to think about the differences in that family. Or my own. I have 2 kids, and a son and a daughter, and they're different. They're pretty different. They're doing different things. They're different people.
Yeah.
Is it nature or nurture? I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Where does that come from? I think you're born with a lot of traits, and you can adapt them to situations, and experiences help shape the natural traits you have and the characteristics you have.
Have you always been, so let's go back to when you were a kid, were you always really interested in the arts side of things? Like, was that, being a writer?
It's funny, music has always been a big part of my life. And I don't know where that comes from, because my parents weren't musical. We had that old classic console stereo thing in the house, but I don't remember them ever listening to it. I did.
Really?
As a kid.
Yeah.
And then, for some reason, my grandfather wanted me to get into music. And he said to my mom, I was in junior high, if I'll buy Glenn a musical instrument if you sign him up for classes. So we bought me a trumpet.
Yeah.
I was 13 or 12 or something. And man, I just...
You latched onto it?
Oh, man, yeah.
You're good?
Well, I was pretty good at the time. I still have it.
You do have that same
And now
trumpet?
I'm teaching my 3-year-old grandson how to
Right.
play in it, and it's a riot. Yeah.
So I went to Forest Lake High School, and I played the trumpet in junior high. Didn't carry it over to high school. I was terrible.
Oh.
I was terrible. I just couldn't get it. So did they have it like where you had chairs?
Yep.
Like I was last chair. Me and another guy would fight for last chair.
Oh.
And I was trying to get out of last chair. I didn't want to be last
No,
chair. I didn't
no.
take great pride in that.
I
I was
know.
okay with being second to last.
Yeah.
So in the chair thing, in the trumpet row,
Yeah.
were you first chair?
I was, but there was a constant battle between my friend at the time named Troy Trulock, and I always loved that name.
Yeah, that's
Troy
right.
Trulock, and he and I would battle for first chair.
Sweet.
For years, and it was me and Troy, and we would switch. He was first, I was first, and then, I got to in fact, I'm still Facebook buddies with my marching band director from high school.
Sweet.
A guy named Chip Williams, who just was creative and dynamic and brought a love of music to a lot of us. And he gave me some cool instruments. He gave me some cool opportunities to do some neat things with a little E-flat trumpet that was this little tiny thing.
Yeah.
Beep,
Yeah.
Tons of fun. Yeah. Amazing.
So, what else were you into? So let's even go into high school. So obviously, music was a big part of.
Yeah, and
your life.
then my buddy, one of my best buddies of all time, Bruce Powell. He and I, we were Wayzata kids, and it's hard not to consider the privilege that we had. Right. I think about that a lot.
Yeah.
But we were Wayzata suburban punk rockers. We were into it. Yeah.
Give me an example of what that. What does that mean?
Just like the most punk rock thing I did in high school, it was his mom pierced our ears one night in her kitchen with a potato. Freeze the thing with an ice cube, then she stuck a potato back there and she pierced it. And I walked around with my hand covering my ear at home because my dad would have flipped.
Yeah, right.
And I had it in for 6 months or something, which was hard to hide.
You got away with it for 6 months?
It was hard to hide it. Yeah. Now, did I really get away with it? When you're a kid, you're nearly not nearly as smart as you think you are, right? So
right.
But then we would go to shows in the city in Minneapolis and be kind of punk rock. But at the same time, I was into disco. Music was everything to us.
Really?
Yeah, music was everything to us.
Yeah. Any sports?
Mm-hmm. Baseball, soccer, basketball for a bit, but then I got into skiing when I was a kid, and skiing is still my major drug.
Yeah, is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Any travel with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When I can, yeah. But
Yeah.
I got back into cross country skiing in the last couple of years, and
Oh,
man,
cool.
I'm my wife gives me a hard time. She's like, you have to get over it, because the snow's gone. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
Calm down. Skiing's over. It'll come back, but it's summer now. So,
What do you do in the summertime to keep yourself fit then?
bicycle,
Yeah, cool.
kayak, hike, do some basement workouts. But we spend a lot of time outside. Bicycling is big, yeah, for us.
So were you one of those families where you were just kind of like go away for the day and just like in the summertime you just go and just be sure you're home for dinner?
My best friend John Schur and I would go out, and we lived near a little lake called Lake Mooney in Plymouth, just north of here.
Yeah.
And we would just go, and there was like somebody had a canoe. We would just grab it. I don't know whose canoe it was. There was a little island in this thing, and we would go out, and we were gone all day long. Or new house construction, right? I mean, we grew up in that era when houses were being built everywhere, so we just would hang out in these houses that outside, gone all day. Yeah.
Where'd you go to college?
Went to St. Olaf College.
Was that driven by? I feel like that's kind of a musical school. Is that kind of a musical
It
school?
is a
Did you go
musical
for-
school.
for music?
I did not do any music there. I should have, but I did not.
Did you have when you were in high school, let's say junior, and obviously going into senior, being a senior, did you know what you wanted to go to college for, or did you just want to go for the liberal arts and just figure
I
it
wanted
out?
to go for the liberal arts. I applied to 2 colleges. My dad went to St. Olaf for 2 years.
Yeah.
So it was always in my head, but it wasn't like a legacy thing. I'm going to follow him necessarily.
Yeah.
But whatever. And I did well in high school, so it wasn't a worry that I wasn't going to get in necessarily. Learning, I enjoy learning, so I think that comes naturally to me.
Yeah.
I was a good student. And I applied to Stanford. But I got in, I got accepted, but I never honestly considered going there.
Out of state that far?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it about? Did you go on a campus tour and were just like, I'm great with this, or it was just all in that like my dad went there for a couple of years, just seems like the right thing to do.
Yep.
Yeah. What was tell me a little bit about, in your words, college life?
I was always kind of I liked writing, I liked reading. So writing came naturally to me in high school. But I was also into math and physics in high school.
Whoa.
Yeah. I really dug physics. Maybe it was because of a great teacher I had in high school. I don't recall, but I was like, wow, wave theory, it just blew my mind. That was amazing. I want to do some more with this. So freshman week, you can take some pre-tests to see how far you can go into a subject. So I didn't have to maybe take all the 101 classes in physics and math.
Yeah.
And I was a bit cocky, and because I was a good high school student, oh, cool, I'll be able to skip whatever. And I sat in front of these physics tests. I sat in front of this physics test in particular and looked at it, just blanks.
Really?
I think I left.
Just
Yeah.
you succumb to it?
Yeah, I just said, okay, I am not a physicist. This is not going to work for me.
Isn't there a level of so you're by nature you're a really creative person, and you leverage that part of your brain, but there's a creativity in physics that I think you can leverage, and that's why maybe it identified with you, but then it maybe got to a level that you just hit the ceiling, and it's just like, this is beyond me.
Yeah.
Like, I just need to do what I do good.
Yeah, and math was the same, and math came a little easier, but then I took a calculus class.
Oh yeah.
That's like math. What is this? What is this?
Too. Yeah.
So I stuck with. I think about that creativity question a lot. What is creativity? Where does it come from? And the word gets misused, and the word stresses people out. I'm not creative, and I think it's to me, it's curiosity. I'm endlessly curious, and if you take curiosity far enough, you become creative. You find creative problems. You find solutions to things.
When did you eventually decide on what your major or major minor or whatever you ended up deciding on in college?
I think it was sophomore year. I was after I got out of the physics math thing.
Yeah.
Right. I kind of rebelled. I was like, and I did the same with French because I took French in high school, and I was like, I'm going to do everything different. And I played baseball in high school. I was going to play baseball at St. Olaf, and I was like, no, I became a rebel. I played rugby.
Oh, sweet.
I took Latin, and I gave up the whole math thing.
Yeah.
Completely. So, but I was English and political science and pre-law. I was thinking I'm going to go to law school.
Maybe attorney, yeah.
And then I did a constitutional law class, and there were people who graduates who came back to talk to us about their experience in law school, and they're like, and I remember sophomore year being incredibly difficult couple semesters.
Yeah.
Like just studying all the time. And these guys said, take your hardest semester in college and do 6 of them in a row, and that's law school.
Ugh.
You know,
Yeah.
and then you're going to get out and you're going to work like that for a couple of years until you
right.
make it or whatever. I was like, that didn't sound appealing to me. So I gave up the pre-law thing, but kept both the English and political science degrees.
What was your coolest job that you had while you were in college? Assuming
I did.
Assuming, yeah.
I worked summers at Lafayette Club on Lake Minnetonka in the golf shop.
Oh, yeah.
And my neighbor friend from junior high, his dad was the pro there. So he got us jobs there from the time we were like 14 or 15. We started as picking up range balls. And we literally picked up range balls by hand on the driving range.
Yeah, really?
Because it was a small driving range.
Yeah, right.
But then that morphed into, I stuck with it because I don't quit things. I stick with stuff. Most of the jobs I've had for many years.
Yeah.
So this was a good gig. Plus, it was a good gig.
Yeah, yeah.
Summer gigs on the golf course on a lake.
Are you kidding me?
You know,
Yeah.
where my friends were doing who knows what, you know.
Yeah.
So I did that every summer through high school and college for a number of years. That was a ton of fun. I met interesting people, fascinating people. Yeah.
Did you do any internships or anything like that while in college that helped translate?
I did. My junior year, I took a semester. St. Olaf is big on getting off campus.
Yeah, good.
International is big. I did not go international. I went to Washington, D.C. to study journalism for a semester at American University. And we did 2 or 3 days in school, and we did 2 or 3 days in an internship. And so we studied, and the way it broke down for me was we studied daily print journalism by day in school, and then I had an internship with a book publisher in DC, which was fascinating. Small little kind of business to business book publisher. But I got to learn the daily side of journalism in DC, which is the heart of journalism.
Yeah.
And then book publishing was, so one of them was way too fast for me and one of them was way too slow for me. I bet there's a middle route because I learned that I really liked editing and writing and the research side of it, the questions, the interviews.
Yeah.
Magazines are probably a monthly magazine has got to be the perfect middle ground.
Yeah,
so
right.
I started freelance writing when I could to get to know the magazine business.
All right, so I want to get into the career stuff because that's the next natural step here. So before we do that, we love our community supporters. They're the lifeblood of what helps make this happen besides our members like yourself. So let's listen to a few of our community supporters. Every year brings new challenges for Minnesota business leaders, and USI Insurance is here to take the pressure off of the employee benefits decision. Having a local presence with national resources, USI combines a client-centric culture with leading-edge technical resources so you can make an informed decision on your benefits investment. The USI team has been deeply committed to investing into our local communities and utilizes their expertise to provide solutions you can count on to protect your greatest asset, your employees. USI has been partnering with Twin Cities businesses for decades, and they would welcome the opportunity to do the same for you. Visit USI.com to learn how USI's approach to risk management and employee benefits delivers customized, actionable solutions with bottom-line impact. All right, everybody needs a bank. Not just any bank, a good community bank. From personal needs like checking and savings accounts to business services like financing and M&A support, the team at Flagship Bank is there to provide you with the assistance you need so you can spend less time thinking about your finances and more time enjoying what your money can do for you. To learn more, head over to Flagship Banks, that's flagshipbanks with an S.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Flagship Bank, investing in you. For more than 20 years, Kaisa has been the trusted financial advisor for women, business owners, executives, and high net worth families, developing financial plans designed to meet them where they are and propel them to where they want to be. Their mission is to remove the worry and stress associated with financial planning and replace it with clarity and confidence. The Kaisa team takes the time to understand each client's unique situation, from financial concerns to the visions that they have for current and future generations, in order to create a truly customized plan. Through consistent communication and personal attentiveness, Kaisa is fiercely devoted to personal well-being and financial prosperity. Get to know the Kaisa team and how they can serve you at KaisaWealth.com. When you think of a typical CPA firm, you probably think of tax planning. Well, that just scratches the surface of what Boulay offers their clients. By providing smart, in-depth thinking from experts in accounting, audit, tax, and business consulting, they know what it takes to achieve financial success. Whether it's protecting your business, building your wealth, or securing your future, you can count on Boulay to go beyond addressing just financial matters and providing you with tailor-made, workable solutions. Learn about all they have to offer at BoulayGroup.com. Boulay, helping you get there. United Healthcare is dedicated to helping people live healthier lives and making the health system work better for everyone by simplifying the healthcare experience, meeting consumer health and wellness needs, and sustaining trusted relationships with care providers. UHC is continually focused on building a modern, high-performing health system via improved access, affordability, outcomes, and experiences. With a network of over 1.6 million physicians and healthcare professionals and over 6,000 hospitals, United Healthcare is dedicated to connecting employers and their employees to better health by offering quality benefits designed for affordability. For more information, visit United Healthcare at www.uhc.com. United Healthcare, helping people live healthier lives. All right, we're back with Glenn. All right, let's get into the computer stuff because you just you left us a little teaser, so good segue. So what was your first, I'm going to use air quotes, your real job out of college? Was it freelancing?
Well, that was my first real job because it was my career path.
Right, yeah.
But when I graduated from college in '86, we were kind of mini recession. It wasn't a great environment. Mm-hmm. The job market was not good. Mm-hmm. And I had a friend from the Lafayette Club golf course who had a engineering business, and it was growing like crazy. And he said, "Why don't you come work for me? The job market's crap. You don't know what you want to do. I'm going to pay you well. It's really fun." Okay, cool. I did that. I just jumped into it. And it took me a long time to come to grips with, did I waste those years? Because I worked for him for about 4 or 5 years. And it was engineering. We tested and set up heating and ventilating systems, primarily in new Target stores. This was the Target boom.
Right,
Target built hundreds of stores across the country. So we traveled the country and worked kind of between the store owner and the building engineer to make sure the heating and ventilating system that they installed worked to the owner's recommendations, the worker's specs. And we did other things beside Target. The VA hospital was a huge project of ours. And I really didn't like it at all.
But you did it because the money was good?
But I did it because the money was good.
Yeah, right.
And
you're in your early 20s.
Yeah. And I was traveling a bunch,
right,
which was fun. I got frequent flyer miles. My wife and I could go and do stuff, whatever. But I knew I couldn't do this. This was not. And I started doing some freelance magazine work. I had a friend that I taught skiing with who purchased in-flight magazine for Masaba Airlines,
Oh, yeah.
regional flyer, little regional thing. So he said, "Hey, Glenn, you talk about writing. Why don't you write some stories for my magazine?"
Yeah.
Cool. And the first one I wrote was about a canoe trip on the Zumbro River, a little weekend camping trip with canoes. And I wrote this piece, and it was a ton of fun. And he started, well, I wrote about a little cafe. Part of the story was there was this little cafe, because it rained the whole time, so we couldn't cook. We just found this little restaurant.
Yeah.
And that cafe started getting some phone calls from people, or, "Hey, I read about you in this magazine." And the cafe called the magazine publisher, and the publisher called me. "People are contacting this cafe because of the story you wrote." I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
I just liked writing and editing and then doing stuff.
Yeah.
But that connection between my stories in general, have an impact on people.
Yeah. Did your light bulb go off at that
Yeah.
point? And then did it just catch fire?
Yep.
So you've kind of floated in and out of what I'm going to call freelance or having your own business.
Yep.
You know, then it was freelance. Now it's solopreneur
Right.
or whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it, right?
Yeah.
So you alluded to the fact that you've spent a good amount of time at places that you've been. Share with me a couple of the times where you've spent a longer amount of time
Right.
in a role, and I think almost like editor roles, and then what those roles were attributed to.
Sure. My first real writing gig with a company, the company was called Eggert Publishing, based in Maple Grove. Did powersports stuff, snowmobile magazines, personal watercraft or jet skis.
Cool.
And I got a job there, friend of a friend. Hey, we're growing, we're hiring people. So I became the managing editor of a magazine called Watercraft World. I literally traveled the country to write about jet skis.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Did you love that? Was that?
You know, I wasn't a motor guy. I'm a cross-country skier, you know.
I know, but
But
a lot of the stuff I've even talked to you about, like I'm
into it
jumping
more.
into
Yeah.
things. You know,
Yeah.
you were with Suzuki and like all these things. And even now, I think you're doing some stuff
Yeah.
with power sports,
Yeah.
right? So, and you floated in and out of that. What's the deal? Just because now, because you work there for so long at Eggert,
Yep.
that it just people see that on your resume.
I
that
was
you know
there
how to
for
speak that
9
language?
years and got to do some cool things because it was the internet was born in that time. Multimedia was really born in that time when I was there. So we had print magazines, but we developed websites and we did television and we did all kinds of fun things. But I was there 9 years and I had an opportunity to go to work for Suzuki Motorcycles to run advertising and PR for them. And I was almost 40 years old at the time and had young kids.
Yeah.
And I said, if I don't do this now, I'm always going to wonder.
Yeah.
If I don't, and people thought, wow, you're a magazine, you're a writer, and now you're going to go to the advertising and sales side. That's such a shift. And it wasn't a shift to me because I said, I'm going to tell stories about Suzuki and Suzuki owners. It's the same thing.
Right. Just different approach.
Yep.
Yeah. Take a different
Literally, I
approach.
just and I hung on to that, and I told everybody at Suzuki that, and they hired me to do it, and it was a ton of fun. We did some cool things.
Yeah.
I don't know if Suzuki is a very traditional, conservative Japanese company. They weren't fully ready for such a big shift, but we did some fun storytelling. We certainly tried. And I was there for 6 or 7 years, and we moved to California and turned our lives upside down. And
Yeah, that's right.
I'll never regret a second of it.
Yeah.
It had some difficulties for sure, but it was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what brought on the departure from Suzuki?
The world market crash, right, of 2008,
Yeah,
2009.
that time, yeah.
They basically cut marketing.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is the most backwards, I think, is like,
yeah,
right? But I get
they
it.
cut a lot. They cut up.
Did they?
It wasn't just marketing they cut, and they did it on. They had this is back when they still had cars in America, Suzuki automobile.
Right, yeah, that's right, yeah.
just cuts. It was major. It was April 1st too, so I was like, oh, fun. I'll never forget that. And that was the shift. That was the, is this nature or nurture? I didn't ever, well, I shouldn't say that. It wasn't my dream to have my own business. That was not like an itch I had, right? I thought about it, but it wasn't a burning desire. But I had to create my own job at the time in 2009 because nobody was going to hire a marketing guy.
Yeah.
Right? Especially not with a bunch of motorsports experience because the whole motorcycle industry was rocked hard.
Yeah.
So
that's super niche. Too.
So I said, I have to start my own business and I have to do it outside of this industry that I know so well. But I used relationships and connections and networking. And I started finding a ton of opportunity because, like you alluded to, companies cut marketing, but they couldn't really cut. They knew they needed to do it still.
Right. They just did it a different way.
Right. They did it with contract help. It was great. In fact, not maybe a year after I left Suzuki, I connected with them again, and they said, we need a lot of those things that you used to do here. We still need that done.
Yeah.
I said, I'd love to help you.
Yeah.
They became my best client for years.
Is that so? How long from when you departed from Suzuki did you come back to Minnesota?
9 years.
Oh, so you spent a whole
We
another
stayed
9
a
years.
long time out there, yeah.
And that's where you got your footing in on owning your own business and things like that.
Yep.
And then you did a stint with, I said in the opening about woodworking with DIY. I think I could have even said, because I think there was a lot of things that you talked about.
Yeah.
So you did that. And then now you're back to owning your own business.
I am.
And, one of the questions I wanted to ask you in advance of this, I was thinking about is I've heard you say a few stories that you've told that have had profound impacts on whether it be people or organizations or something like that, just in our time together, independent of this podcast. I do want people to hear one of those stories. So what is a story that you told that had, maybe let's just say like as simple as this, that you're just the most proud of? Like you just look back at it and be like, that had an impact on this, or I feel really good about it for whatever reason. There's a great sense of pride.
It's an interesting question. I'm not sure. I've spent my whole professional career telling stories about other people and products and things, events, whatever, activities. Mm-hmm. So it's really hard for me to talk about myself.
And that's why I'm asking that
Yeah.
question.
What I think I'm most proud of right now, and it's relevant right now, I mentioned that my first gig was with a company called Eggert Publishing. That company still exists, and it's called EPG Media today. And EPG Media, I'm doing a significant amount of my time I spend with EPG Media right now.
Cool.
Because of people.
Yeah.
And when I worked at Eggert, not long after I started there, I had a bad accident. I was in a hospital for a week and surgeries and all kinds of things. And the company rallied around me with passion and heart and care. Mm-hmm. And I stayed throughout my time at Suzuki and doing my own thing. I stayed in touch with several people who I worked with in the 90s at Eggert who are still at EPG Media today. And those relationships and that culture of that company, and I've told the company this, I've told the new owner this, I've talked about it a few times recently. It's about people and it's about relationships for me more than anything today.
Yeah.
And culture is huge, and I've been a student of corporate culture for many years now.
Yeah.
And they just have an amazing culture, and a business owner or a committee can't create a culture.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can enable certain things, and you can guide people into the right cultural norms, but this culture created and it exists, and and it's why I work with them still.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of that I'm proud of the fact that those relationships stayed a thing for me, and I get to still be with those people.
Yeah. Good. And you should take great pride in that.
Yeah.
Like that's one thing I do know about you, and as I've gotten to know you, you're a relationship guy through and through, right? Like you enjoy deep relationships.
I do, but I feel like that's kind of new for me, to be honest, because I'm very independent too.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's talk a little bit about your business moving forward. So do you find yourself like if somebody wanted to bring you on, how does that vetting process go? Like can you write about anything? Like if you get passionate about something, you see the passion in other people, does that just spark something in you where you can just go, or do you like to stay in a lane?
It's the curiosity thing. It's curiosity that's served by an ability to interrogate and follow that path, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I learned that in school for the most part with the journalism study that I did in DC.
Yeah.
And I proved it to myself when I started my business in 2009, 2010, when the motorcycle industry wasn't hiring a guy to write stories. So I had this connection, and he said, well, I need some help with a project I'm doing at the ExxonMobil refinery in Torrance, California. I was like, cool, I put gas in my car. I must,
Yeah,
right? But I didn't, obviously I'm joking, but I didn't have a clue, but I said, cool, I can help you because I think I can do anything.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Right.
And I don't
That's
say
that confidence.
I don't say that with an ego. I say it because I'll work hard. Because
Yeah, right.
I'll really...
You'll figure it out.
Because I care and I'll work hard. So they had this newsletter, they had this internal communication piece that they did on site with management trying to tell workers, some staff and some contractors, how to stay safe on the job. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I looked at it and I thought, boy, is this working for you guys? And they said, well, I don't really think so. I said, can I redo it?
Yeah.
Give us your ideas. So I recreated the whole thing, and I said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to tell stories about safety, and we're going to make it personal, and we're going to make it real, and we're going to share people's stories.
Yeah.
And we're going to share the stories from the refinery manager. I want him to be personal, and I want you guys to be personal, and I want you to let me ask all these other people questions. And they said, well, how does that look? I don't know. So I gave them some samples, and they're like, cool, let's keep doing this. And I did that once a week for 5 years for them.
Wow.
And it was groundbreaking for me to say, now I'm not just a motorsports activity guy, I'm a storyteller.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing it. I'm proving that it has value. And it had big value for them. And it was a riot. It was so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about your family. So I alluded to the fact that your wife's a business owner. I met your wife a couple weeks ago, which is fantastic.
Right.
I met your daughter.
Yes,
right?
at the baseball game
right,
last summer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like I've met like three quarters of your family.
I know. I need to bring my son to an event.
Yeah.
And that's important for me. I talk about this a lot. It's very work-life balance. I don't understand that term.
Yeah, I don't either.
I have a life, and I work, and I have a family, and I have activities that I do, and it all comes into my life.
Yeah, congruence.
Yeah, so I'm all about sharing personal stories.
Yeah.
My wife's an amazing artist, and my wife's the people person.
Yeah,
My wife.
I got that.
So that's where I get it
Which
from.
is awesome.
I get it from her.
Yeah.
Because I say, I bring her to things because she's better looking than me. People like her more than me, all that stuff. So
right.
I just follow her along because she's so wonderful.
Let her just kind of break ground, and then you can follow in the wake a little bit. Yeah.
And I have 2 kids.
Yeah, there you go.
My son, Ben, is now a communicator as well, works for the Minnesota Realtors Association.
Oh, cool, yeah.
A nonprofit that supports realtors in the state, and he's doing cool things.
Cool.
My daughter just launched her own business. Yeah, she got to see, she was still home. My son had gone to college when I started my business, or right around then. But my daughter was still there, and so she got to see that you can do your own thing. You can create your own job.
Yeah.
And that's always been her MO. So she just launched her own personal training and nutrition coaching business.
Cool.
So she's doing fun things. She lives downtown Minneapolis. And they're both, gosh, I'm so proud of my kids. And it's saying, and my son has now a beautiful wife. They met, she's from England. My son lived over there for a while.
Cool.
But now they're back here and have 3 kids. So we're grandparents and it's a riot.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take another break because then we got to get into 9 questions. And this is just going to open up Pandora's box on what makes Glenn tick here. So we'll be right back with Glenn after the few messages from our community supporters. Regardless if you're a startup just figuring things out or a medium-sized organization with a full team, having a legal partner by your side is crucial. Seiler Law is fiercely loyal to their clients and are passionate about removing headaches and roadblocks that can pop up during the growth of your business. Whether you need general outside counsel, are planning a business transaction, or even need someone to guide you through the estate planning process, the team at Seiler Law are the advocates for you. Visit seilerlaw.com to learn more. Seiler Law, where experience meets pragmatism. If you're anything like me, you know enough to be dangerous when it comes to finance, yet need some help when things get complicated. All-in-One Accounting provides the right financial expertise and leadership to align with your stage of growth. From outsourced accounting and bookkeeping to strategic financial planning, the team of accounting rockstars at All-in-One Accounting are passionate about positively impacting the businesses and lives of their clients. You need to check them out at allinoneaccounting.com. All-in-One Accounting, taking our clients from financial chaos to business clarity and beyond. Verseek Search and Consulting is thrilled to support Coalition9 and this podcast, and we are just as excited to have them as a partner. Verseek is a Minnesota-based, high-performance recruiting firm that specializes in interim solutions, direct hire, and executive leadership search. Their team of experienced professionals and seasoned leaders across various areas of expertise and industries have been in your shoes. They quickly assess your whole company and identify key elements that will take your business to the next level. Your company's success hinges on the capacity of your people, and few areas of your business are more critical than your finance and accounting team. Your company's success hinges on the capacity of your people. Verseek can help connect you with the talented candidates within finance and accounting, along with other areas of expertise in executive search, direct hire, and interim solutions. People are the ultimate business advantage. Find your people together with Verseek and make the best possible for your business. Learn more and contact Verseek by visiting verseek.com and following them on LinkedIn. The topic of talent is hot in organizations of any size, and I would argue none more than small to mid-sized businesses. That's why it's crucial to have a partner to help you navigate all the HR idiosyncrasies so you can focus on working on your business and not in it. Insperity is a full-service HR partner with a high-touch, high-tech platform helping owners work through challenges like employee retention, company culture, and benefits, just to name a few. Do yourself a favor and explore all they have to offer at Insperity.com. Insperity, HR that makes a difference. If you're an entrepreneur or married to one, your journey is complex. You want financial advice that impacts your whole net worth, including your business, not just stock market investments. You also want a partner that quarterbacks the relationships between the CPA, estate planner, banker, and other trusted advisors. That's where the team at eWealth Partners comes in. We love helping you and your spouse design a financial plan that aligns and empowers you. A plan that addresses your concerns, priorities, and goals tailored to reach your long-term vision. A long-term vision that is worth the pursuit today. Visit ewealthpartners.com to learn how they can help couples like you. eWealth Partners, holistic financial planning for entrepreneurs. Investment advisor services offered through AdvisorNet Wealth Management. eWealth Partners and AdvisorNet Wealth Management are not affiliated. In addition to the community supporters you heard from on the show today, I also want to give a quick shout out to our evolving level community supporters, Carlson Partners, Fluid Interiors, Keystone Group International, Modern Foundation, and Rev Advisory Group. All right, we're back with Glenn. Glenn, I specially curated these 9 questions for you. Can you confirm to me you have no idea what I'm about to ask you?
I can confirm that.
All right, good. What is one of your hidden talents?
It's pretty hidden, but I sing.
Oh.
My wife, it's not hidden from my wife because I'll sing in the car or I sing in the kitchen or I sing whenever in the house. And I did sing at our church in California a couple times and it didn't, whatever. But yeah.
You're a singer.
I feel like I should have been on stage somewhere.
We've had a few other people that have been on this podcast. Sarah Schlipp-Riddell that loves to sing, and maybe we should start a little bit of a mini choir, Coalition9 mini choir.
Choir 9, yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite genre of music? This is not one of the 9 questions, but what's your favorite genre of music to sing to?
I don't know. That's a good question. You could take it from, crooner era music to modern music. Yeah.
You're all good?
Yeah.
All right. What are 3 words that describe you?
3 words that describe me are curious, independent, and dedicated.
I 100% would. I think you actually said those 3 words through this conversation. Isn't that fascinating?
It is, yeah.
And I love that you just pulled that right out of your ass, right now. What is one thing that immediately brightens your day?
One thing that immediately brightens my day is going outside.
Yeah, this this weather today,
Yeah.
yesterday has got to just, granted you can't go cross country skiing, but I bike too.
Mm-hmm.
I love getting on the bike.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to, for me, I live on dirt road, so I got to wait a little bit, but
Okay,
as
muddy,
soon,
yeah.
right. I can't wait. Yeah, I'm with you. All right. First, I have 2 would you rather questions. This is your first of 2 would you rather questions. Would you rather have super sensitive taste buds or super sensitive hearing?
Taste buds,
Okay.
definitely.
Yeah.
I love food and wine and tasting and sensations and the minutia of that. Yeah, it's fascinating.
Think about a dog can break with their nose, can break down
Sure.
things
Right.
a million different ways to
Yeah.
be able to do that with flavor. I think, there's probably a negative side of that too, but
Yeah.
I think I'd take my chances on that as well. Yeah. Yeah. Where's your happy place?
The top of Vale bowls in the back bowls at Vale would be one of them for sure. But being more realistic, kayaking with my wife on a Friday afternoon on Square Lake north of us is just wonderful.
I have to talk to you about kayaking. My wife and I have been talking about getting a couple for our cabin.
We bought a couple of them right in the pandemic, and
You did?
and we're just addicted to kayaking now. Yeah, it's
Are
great.
they above water or below water? I think that's a term, right? Once you sit down in the water a little bit, one you sit just on top of the water.
You either sit
in it
You
or
either
on it?
sit in the kayak or on top of the kayak.
Yeah,
and ours are sit in
In it?
kayaks.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah, we will talk about
Mhm. Yeah.
that. What book are you reading or listening to right now?
Oh, I read a lot, and I
Yeah.
just finished J.D. Salinger's Franny and Zoe, which was just so great to read. I probably read it in college, but man, Salinger and his character development and the settings, so fun. And then I picked up one from a good friend, recommended a book called The Lincoln Highway. And because I love this guy, and he recommends a book, I'm going to read it. So I haven't started it yet, but I'll probably pick it up tonight.
Sweet. Do you read, again, not one of the 9 questions, but what's your ratio of fiction and nonfiction?
I read mostly fiction. I've gotten into history books recently.
Cool.
And every once in a while, I feel like I should read a business book. And I read a business book, and I go, this is crap. And I hate it. Why do I do this to myself?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I read a couple. I have one exception to that. If I'll plug a book from a former business associate named, the book is called Exponential, ad agency that I did some work with when I was at Suzuki. Phenomenal book.
Yeah.
I highly recommend Exponential.
Yeah. Sweet. All right. What is the strangest thing you've ever eaten?
When I worked for Suzuki, we used to go to Japan once or twice a year.
Yeah.
So, and I always told my Japanese business associates, I want to eat whatever you guys eat. I want to go where you go. I'm not going to eat McDonald's. I don't care about American food when I'm here. I want your experience. And they liked that. And I loved it myself.
Yeah.
So I got some amazing food experiences with them. But whenever something looked whenever I had questions about something,
Yeah.
they were unsure culturally how to explain it to me, or they would say, oh, Glenn-san, no English translation. for that.
Oh, yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh, really?
Yeah. Really?
Really? So one night I pushed it. You got to tell me what this is, and it was raw horse.
Oh.
And I'll say it was one of the finest dining experiences ever. It was absolutely unbelievably yummy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did they tell you that it was horse after you ate it?
Yep.
So then you were able to just say, all right,
Yep.
come to terms with it. I wouldn't have ate. I wouldn't have.
I would have eaten it. I would have eaten it anyway.
You would?
I'm
Yeah.
adventuresome diner, and in fact, I heard you ask this question on a podcast I listened to recently, and you said you've had eel.
I was gonna say.
And eel is one of my favorite things over there.
Well, then it was how it was prepared or something because it tasted like dirt.
Oh, in fact,
It's horrible.
Suzuki's in a town called Hamamatsu, and there's Lake Hamamatsu, which is where most of the eel comes from. And so we would have these fresh eel lunches. Oh my gosh, so good. Yeah. I eat eel a lot. Whenever I go have sushi, I'll have
You
eel.
do?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Unagi, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. It was
You might have had sea eel, which is different than
it tasted
unagi
like
is
pure,
freshwater eel.
pure dirt.
Yeah, you
like
probably
it was
had
horrible.
bad sea eel.
Yeah, my brother loves sushi, loves the Japanese cultures, has studied it.
Yeah.
And he had it, and he's like, "This is effing horrible."
Shoot.
So it was bad.
Yeah.
So I
All right, you gotta
maybe
try it
go
again.
with you
Try
sometime
it
on
again.
place
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
All right. Would you rather have a cook or a cleaning person?
Cleaning person. I enjoy cooking. I'd much rather have a cleaning person. I hate cleaning.
Yeah. Did you guys split up the duties at your house? For
We
cleaning
love
the
to
house?
cook together. Yeah.
How about cleaning? Who do you guys?
Oh,
split up the
she
cleaning?
does. My wife does more of the cleaning, but I'll clean. I certainly have a clean house, but I don't enjoy it at all.
Yeah.
But I would gladly let someone do that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Number 9. What is one thing you have deep gratitude for right now?
My parents, and I didn't. A boy and his father go through things, right?
Yeah. Right.
We moved back to Minnesota. I'm jumping around, but my wife and I moved back to Minnesota 5 years ago when my parents, and it was mainly to help my parents age.
Yeah.
And they were going through a lot of stuff, and I am very fortunate I had that time, and I had my own business where I could take the flexibility to help them.
Yeah.
And it was unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah.
For what it did for me, for what it did for them, for what it did for my relationship with my brother and my kids and everybody. Life-changing.
Kind of just brought it all back.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah,
Yeah.
so very glad.
Yeah. Good answer. So not once through. Great job, by the way. Like you crushed those.
Thank
9
you. This was so
questions.
fun, and they were easier than I thought. Yeah, thank you.
You were snappy on them too, so you only had to think on a couple of them. So throughout this whole podcast, we haven't even said the name of your business, and sometimes I'm horrible at that because I'm so focused on
all right.
you. So one, I want you to be able to just say what your business is. We all know what you do now,
Right.
And then how can people get a hold of you?
My business is called HansenHouse Communication. I also refer to it as HansenHouse Content. So for people who are into the content buzzword.
Yeah, right.
And Hansen House is kind of named after the old restaurant Hansen House on Long Lake. I have a story about that on my website. Because it was a special relationship-y thing for me. And so Hansen House has been a name I've used for a long time. I help companies tell their stories and develop their purposeful story, right?
Yeah.
HansenHouseContent.com, or you can email me at Glenn@HansenHouseContent, Hansen, E-N.
2 N's on Glenn.
2 N's on Glenn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. LinkedIn?
Yeah, Glenn R. Hansen on LinkedIn.
Any other socials? You on TikTok?
On TikTok. That's going to be banned soon, which is a mistake, but whatever.
Yeah. It's a whole nother podcast.
And I do Instagram more. I don't do other social for business reasons.
You shoot some photography and
I
stuff
do a
like
lot
that.
of-
So
I
I've
do
seen some of your stuff
yep.
on Instagram.
Yep,
I follow
I do.
you on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you've got a
But I'm
couple
not.
good socials
I'm
there.
not a polished social media user professionally.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, man, I got to tell you, like, it's a gift to have you part of the community. Your group loves you, and I have loved building a relationship with you and seeing you at events, and I know how much effort you put into the relationships that you have, and that says a lot about the impact that it has on our Coalition9 community, and I'm just thrilled you're back in Minnesota, man.
Well, Aaron, thank you. When we met, you changed things for me, and you opened up a world of connections that wasn't possible. So you're doing things that I don't know if you get enough credit for the relationships that you enable. So if people are listening to this and they don't know about Coalition9, please look into it. Come to an event. You're a
nice
special
plug.
person, and
Thanks,
you
brother.
do a lot for people, and it's great.
Thanks a lot, man. It means a lot. Thank you. I appreciate that. I could hear that all day. That's the stuff. That's the stuff that fills my cup, obviously, right? Like, so.
Good.
Thank you. I love that. On behalf of Glenn, this has been the Power of 9 podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Eggert, and I want to thank you for the privilege of your time.